All right, y'all. Let's talk about the 2025 Grammys. All ready? Let's go.
I came to vibe, you came to function, just do that, baby. Don't worry about nothing, no.
What's good, y'all? It's your boy Bright here, the R&B kid, and I'm back again with another episode of On the Bright Side TV. Welcome back. How you doing? We're doing very well. Listen, y'all, I'm so excited to finally get into the 2025 Grammys. This was one for the book, so let's get into it. I'm a little late with my review, I'm sorry y'all, but I've had a lot going on this week, and I actually wanted to make sure I sat with my thoughts and make sure I processed everything before I just, did a video on the Grammys. So let's get into it. Before I do, a quick reminder, y'all, please go join my Patreon. A link below down in the description. On my Patreon, you'll have exclusive content and just other videos I won't put on my YouTube. My longer, unedited, uncut reactions will be on my Patreon, as well as other exclusive content. So definitely go join my Patreon if you like me. There's more where this came from. Join below down in the description. I appreciate y'all. All right, y'all, so this is my last video of this Grammy season after my nomination predictions video, which you guys love every year, and my prediction video for the Grammys, and now we have my review of the Grammys. So this ends it all. But this has been one of my favorite Grammy seasons in a long time, like I told y'all before. I really think this is a reflection of how great of a year 2024 was in music. It ended up, giving us one of the best Grammys we've seen in a long time. And to be honest, even though I was thinking it was definitely going to be a good, awards in terms of the winners and all that because of how great all the categories were this year, I wasn't sure how the actual show would go. But lo and behold, this Grammys, like the actual telecast, the actual show itself was really good. And I think a lot of people felt the same way. I was shocked. Like when I was watching it, I was like, I didn't realize it was gonna be this good. Like I wasn't bored. The pacing was good. Like even with the aftermath of the wildfires in LA, it wasn't like a vibe kill for the attention to turn to fundraising and kind of bring awareness to what happened in LA. It didn't bring down the vibes, and like it just wasn't a bad show. Like everything was really hitting on all everything was firing on all cylinders. Like the performances, the award winners, like the things that were happening during the show, like it really was just entertaining, not boring, well produced. It was moving well, and even though it was like 4 hours, it didn't feel that long. It felt like a really great show. So I have to commend the producers and everybody involved with putting on the show this year, and just the Academy for the effort put on this year. It really was a great show in my opinion, one of the best in my lifetime, really one of the best in recent memory. This Grammys this year, in terms of the show itself and the slate of winners, it wasn't perfect. It definitely wasn't a perfect show and a perfect year of winners and nominees and all that. It never is. So it wasn't perfect, but in my opinion, this is really one of the best shows and one of the best slate of winners that I think I've seen in a long time, and probably, like I said, in my lifetime, to be honest. So I love that. So I just want to give my hats off and commend everybody involved in terms of who voted this year, everyone who put on the show. It really was just a memorable and one of the best shows I can highlight in my memory in recent memory. So I really want to just highlight that. And on top of that, I also love that this year's show was black as fuck during Black History Month. Like, hello, like I loved it, from the winners to the performers. Like it was just a really black ass show, and I really feel like this is one of the few years where the Grammys really celebrated and honored black talent in a really beautiful way, with performers, winners, all that, in different genres and so many different ways. And it just felt like a black ass year, and I loved it because, especially after, recent developments in our political landscape, like it was good to just see this year's Grammys just kind of going in a different way with that. So I just want to say that. Shout out to all the blackness for the Grammys this month. During Black History Month, I had to stand. Come on, period. And because it was so black, there was so much history that was made in so many different, ways, from Doechii winning Best Rap Album to Kendrick winning in the general field to Beyonce winning. There was just so many things that were happening that was just so beautiful to see. SZA winning back-to-back, Money Long winning for a live performance. Like there were so many moments that were actually happening in terms of black history being made at the Grammys, and it was so beautiful to see it all happening within the same year. So this is really a powerful year in terms of black history being made at the Grammys and just black artists really showing out and do their thing. So I love it. And I definitely wanted to mention that even though this definitely wasn't a perfect year in terms of not everything really going down the way I would have wanted it to in terms of the wins, this truly was a great year in terms of the show, and also how the wealth was spread throughout so many categories. So I really want to highlight that for y'all, and I think a lot of people feel the same way. It really is rare to do that in most Grammy years, just because of the politics that are at play. It is always really hard to spread the wealth, even though that's ideally how it should go. A lot of times people have clean sweeps and all that. Even Kendrick got a sweep this year. But in general, I feel like this year was really a great year in terms of the wealth being spread really well. Not perfectly, but spread pretty well. And again, that's hard to do. So I really want to commend the voting body this year for really spreading the wealth in many different categories, for at least the categories that I care about. And I think for at least the categories that I care about, I think it was good to see that happening, but it also speaks to how good of a year 2024 was in music, that I feel like it was necessary to show, you know, many different people and the impact that they made in different categories, and not just to have, you know, a few people kind of, you know, clogging up all these Grammy wins. So that did happen a little bit with like Kendrick and, you know, Sierra Pharrell in the Americana categories. But besides that, like the wealth was spread really well throughout a lot of the categories that I care about, and throughout several categories I'm not as tuned into. So I just want to commend that. For history's sake, the wins themselves were spread out pretty well. And I was just happy to see that in a year that was so competitive, that politics didn't get in the way of like a lot of people getting love and at least picking up one somewhere that they really deserve. So that was really nice to see for the categories that I care about. So I just want to highlight that for y'all. But going off of that point, I must say, even as great of a year and as like competitive as a year this was for the Grammys, because of how great of a year 2024 was in music, the wealth was spread pretty well. But I have to admit, you know, going off of that, to me, the shoutouts this year that were really egregious and a little crazy in my opinion, I hope y'all feel the same way, and that's Billie Eilish and Shaboozey. I really don't understand how Billie and Shaboozey weren't able to at least snag one this year. Billie already has enough, so she'll be fine. But in my opinion, Birds of a Feather is such a great and beautiful song for the ages that I'm really not surprised he didn't pick up at least one. If I had it my way, I would have given Billie at least Song of the Year or Best Pop Soul Performance, one of those, if not both. And for Shaboozey, I would have given him at least Best Country Solo Performance or Best Country Song. At least one of those for literally one of the most successful songs in Billboard history. Like, for it to not pick up one award was a little crazy. And Billie has more than enough, she'll be fine. But just because of how beautiful and magnificent of a song Birds of a Feather is, it's a song for the ages. It's like, why not give it at least one award? I'm surprised he didn't pick up one somewhere. Like, I really feel like, you know, I'm happy Sabrina won for Espresso for Best Pop Solo, and I'm glad that Kendrick won for Song of the Year for Not Like Us. I feel like Billie could have taken at least one of those Grammys. Billie could have took one of those. And Shaboozey not getting anything is really shameful. But in my opinion, everything else was fine. But those, to me, those were the two artists like a shutout that I was like, nah, that's crazy. But other than that, it was a pretty good year. And let's get to it. I'm pretty sure you guys are waiting for my opinion on Beyonce winning Album of the Year. Obviously, that's the biggest headline coming out of this Grammy cycle, as it should, because of all the history that comes along with Beyonce's win for Cowboy Carter. I'm thrilled that Beyonce won for Album of the Year. I'm glad I predicted it. I'm glad it finally came to fruition this year. And I'm really not mad at the way it went down in terms of this being the time she finally won and all that. So I know there's been so much, you know, controversy and debate around whether or not her winning for Cowboy Carter was more so of like a here you go, you know, just finally here you go, take it type of, you know, legacy award versus it actually being about the musical brilliance and rewarding the impact of Cowboy Carter itself in this eligibility year. And I just want to say this. I really think this is a stupid debate because I really feel like either way you slice it, I feel like Beyonce should come out on top either way. And when I say that, I mean, I personally don't feel like Cowboy Carter's win was like some type of apology Grammy for Beyonce losing Album of the Year 4 times previously. And because, you know, Jay-Z said something last year as to why she's been shut out all these years. I personally don't think she won because of that. And even if that was the case, so be it. Because to have this black woman who not only is the face of the Grammys in modern history, she's the most awarded artist. She has been for, you know, ever since a couple years ago. And she really has been the face of the Grammys, her along with Taylor Swift for in this modern age. It's been pretty much them two along with a couple other artists that every time they're nominated, you know, they're getting at least something. They're always going to be nominated every year because they're just you know, she's one of the biggest artists of our time. For her to have been shut out of Album of the Year for you know, the past 4 nominations she's had. Again, no one is owed Grammys, so we have to get that clear. No one is owed Grammys. No one is ever owed anything in this industry. But for Beyonce to be someone that has given so much of herself and her art and just so much, she sacrificed so much, has given the world so much brilliance over the years in different genres, in different ways. She's continued to evolve herself and push the industry time and time again. And she is your favorite artist's favorite artist. For her to literally be a pioneer in this industry and for her to be leading the pack in terms of talent, brilliance, execution, the list goes on and on. For her to have been looked over for Album of the Year several times, and I think most of them you can understand why. I think everyone has their album that they don't understand why she didn't lose. I think for me, I can understand why she lost for I'm Sasha Fierce, definitely. I think the wins to me for self-titled and Renaissance in particular were the most hurtful for me. Lemonade I can understand, even though that really felt like the right time to have awarded her. It felt I understand that one because Adele was still like Adele at that time, and 25 wasn't the album that made as much impact in that era, but it was the album that sold crazy units. And again, Adele was still Adele in that time, and she was the Grammy queen. So I'm not surprised that the Grammys kind of just, went with the usual formula and just awarded it to Adele that year. Even though everybody in their mama, Adele herself, agreed that it should have went to Lemonade, right? But I can understand why it went that way. But I still do think Beck winning over her was still crazy all these years later. I still don't understand how that happened. And in my opinion, I love Harry Styles, and I love that Harry Styles album. I love that album so much. But again, Harry Styles is still very much a newer artist. And when in my opinion, I think a lot of y'all would agree, in my opinion, I really was hurt by Renaissance losing. Not hurt, but I really was astonished that Renaissance lost Album of the Year to Harry's House, because even though it made sense because Harry's House was definitely like a bigger album that year in terms of like numbers and all that and had more hits, I still think in terms of actual cultural impact and just legacy, the way Renaissance moves the world back in 2022, the way that tour just moved the world. I mean, mind you, the tour was after after the Grammys, but still, like, that album just had so much impact when it dropped. And in my opinion, it's really, I think so far, the one Beyonce album that I would say almost no Beyonce fan hates. I feel like every Beyonce fan has that one album that they're cool on, or maybe a couple albums that they're like, I love her, but But in my opinion, I feel like Renaissance, even Cowboy Carter, has a lot of people that don't like it because they don't like the country aspect or whatever. But I really feel like Renaissance to me feels like that one Beyonce album as of right now that I find it rare to find any Beyonce fan that doesn't love it as a whole, or at least like some of their favorite Beyonce songs are not on that album. Everyone has that Beyonce album that they don't like, but I feel like Renaissance is very rarely that album for a lot of people. So that's why I feel like it really deserved that win. I feel like it would have been great for her legacy to have had the album that won really be the album that I feel like kind of stands tall and above a lot of her other albums. And for me, that's Renaissance. If you disagree, that's fine, but I feel like it's Renaissance, just in terms of the music itself and in terms of the impact that it had that year, right? And a lot of people feel that way about, other albums, whether it's self-titled or Lemonade. So when we think about Beyonce losing this category 4 times in a row for really amazing, groundbreaking albums back to back to back, when you think about, other artists who have won this category multiple times, usually white, no shade, let's just call a thing. And when you just think about all the impact that Beyonce's had, I don't really understand how you could be upset that Beyonce has finally won Album of the Year for an album that was great, regardless of whether or not you thought it was the album she should have won it for. At the end of the day, the thing you have to think about the Grammys is it's kind of similar to the Oscars, where a lot of times it really is all about timing and who you're competing against. It's not always about, it's not always about like your own legacy and your own catalog or discography. Like Beyonce's Album of the Year wins and losses are all about what was happening in each year. So when you think about this year, this was really one of the most competitive years we've seen the Grammys. And I think it made sense that at the end of the day, the person who ended up taking the win was the person who had the most time to build a legacy, to build a catalog, to build goodwill with the industry, to build a career of just goodwill, good music, of just good, goodwill. And why not win for an album that was truly a great album? So I say that to say, I don't agree that Beyonce won this one as an apology award or as a legacy award. I don't think that. I personally think that Cowboy Carter is a beautiful album that I think a lot of y'all slept on, that a lot of y'all continue to ignore it just because it's country, which I understand, but I also don't, because one, I'm a person that loves all types of music, so I guess that's why I'm one of the people that instantly loved it, and I still rock with it to this day. I think Cowboy Carter is an amazing, breathtaking album, from its vocal work to its production, from the way Beyonce was able to truly make it a country/Americana themed album, but still making it hers, and really bridging the gap between the old generation and our ancestors who fought to make country music, and not who did make country music but got relegated to shadows because of their race. For Beyonce to be a bridge between our ancestors in country music to the current where she's at right now, and to the future of black people in country music. When you think about all the artists she highlighted, like Willie Jones and Shabuzi and Tanner Adele and Renee Roberts and so on and so forth, like all the people and all the younger artists, like even like a Post Malone or Miley Cyrus, like all these people that she brought along with her that are the future of music as well. This album did so much for the world that I don't think we're even realizing in this current moment. And I think that's part of the reason why a lot of people had an issue with this win, is because they're not really realizing how groundbreaking this album is, not only musically, but also for the impact it's going to have on the industry. And I think this album of the year was so critical that I'm glad it actually prevailed, because if Beyonce had lost again, it really would have been lights out for the Grammys. And it's an effect they would have been feeling for a long time. To have capped off one of the best Grammys in history, in my opinion, up until that point. And if Beyonce were to have lost album of the year, it would have took the entire breath out of the room. Because even though a lot of people probably thought, and I thought, Brat could spoil, maybe Billie Eilish could spoil, maybe Taylor Swift could win again. Either of those narratives playing out, maybe if it was Sabrina Carpenter, Andre 3000, maybe, like any of those other narratives playing out besides Beyonce winning wouldn't have been as rewarding and wouldn't have been as kind to history as Beyonce winning. And not to say that she is owed a Grammy, but again, maybe y'all not realizing it in this current moment, but years and decades from now, people will understand and people will come to realize and be grateful for the fact that Beyonce did win this year because of what this album is going to do for the history of music. What Beyonce was able to do in terms of bridging the gap, like I said, not only between our ancestors and black country music, and the current and the future of black country music, but the way she was also able to really reintroduce country music and Americana music to a whole new audience is something that I don't think we've really realized enough and talked about enough. And I think people who are in the industry, who are actual music professionals, were smart enough and were good enough this year to do right by Beyonce and finally not snub her at a time when, if maybe she didn't make the most musical impact compared to some previous albums like a Renaissance or like a Lemonade, and maybe this was the time to reward her for the actual body of work and for what it did for the history of music. This album, Copper Carter, is going to have so much, it's going to have such a resonance of impact in future generations to come that we've not seen yet. And trust me, mark my words, this album of the year win will, with time, it'll make so much more sense and it'll be so much more valued and appreciated over time. I promise you it will be. For all the haters, or for all the people that think, oh, why they just gave it to Beyonce just to shut her up or whatever, or just because Jay-Z said something, or how could y'all give it to her over Billy? How could y'all give it to her over Brat? Y'all, the racial implications and what was happening this year, and besides that, the implications of this win or a loss, if it had been lost for Beyonce's career, and I'm telling y'all, it would not have looked right if Beyonce had lost this year. Not because she's owed a Grammy, but because this was the year where she truly deserved it. She deserved it in past years, but she didn't get it. But this was a year where she actually deserved it, and she got it. And period. That is the ultimate story of redemption, and the ultimate story of how, if you always stay true to yourself, if you always just stay steadfast and focused and never lose sight of the mission, you will always get yours at the end of the day. And I think Beyonce showed that to herself and to her fans and to the world, that they can knock you down time and time again when you're deserved of an award, and when you deserve something, when something is deserving of you, but it passes you because of politics or because of optics or because of just bad luck or whatever it is, bad timing, which has happened to Beyonce in the past. If you stay steadfast and if you stay focused and you stay on the mission, Beyonce didn't get upset. She didn't degrade her quality of music and just say, whatever, I'm just gonna check out because I've been subbed time and time again. No, if anything, she rolled up her sleeves. She got better. She continued to make better music, evolve herself, experiment in other genres, kill it, and then continue to rack up nominations and wins. And then when it finally was her time, it was her time and she won it. Period. Point blank and end of story. So Beyonce, I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy for you for getting this win that you deserved a long time ago, but you finally got it. And while maybe I personally would have preferred it to be for a different album, like I feel like a lot of people did, I personally would have loved for it to have gone to Renaissance. If she only won album of the year once in her career, I would have loved it for it to have gone to Renaissance. A lot of people probably wish it had been Lemonade or Sultana or whatever. I think we all write different ones, and that's fine. But I am not upset that it's Cowboy Carter, because Cowboy Carter is an amazing album from top to bottom, from head to toe. That album is so good, and y'all need to go and run it back if y'all have not already. On vinyl, it sounds crazy. American Requiem, Blackbird, Riverdance, Bodyguard, Alligator Tears, Just for Fun has grown on me. Two Most Want, Levi's Jeans, like all the Two Hands to Heaven, Tyrant, Spaghetti. Like the way this album has so many different influences. It had, flamenco, the opera with Daughter, guys, Daughter, that song. The way she brought in, like, kind of like house EDM vibes with Riverdance, and then she brought in hip hop with Spaghetti, like, but through and through it was still a country album. Like, Cowboy Carter, it might have been a little bit long, but I don't think it was unfocused, and it really was a great album. The vocal work, the production, the themes, the way it was sequenced, like, it was a body of work that was so brilliant. And I just think the only reason a lot of people don't really give it its things is just because it has that country Americana label on it. But at the end of the day, if you take that away from it and you just listen to it and vibe with the music, Cowboy Carter is literally one of her strongest albums. It might not be the album that you might want to put on at the party. It might not be the album that might have the most replay value for a lot of people. But in terms of the actual musical quality and just the impact that it will have for future generations, I don't think y'all even starting to see the beginning of how amazing and how brilliant of an album Cowboy Carter is in her catalog and just in general. And I'm so happy that people in the industry rallied behind it and did the right thing. It's not a sympathy vote. It's not a legacy Grammy. That's not fair to Beyonce and to Cowboy Carter. It's not fair. And a lot of people who are trying to run with that narrative are people who either just don't like Cowboy Carter, and that's fine, or people who are just trying to spin a narrative because they want to hit on Beyonce, which is fine. But for those of us who are real and who really, love and breathe this music shit, Cowboy Carter was an amazing album. And y'all know, like I know, that we have no problem with it being the album in her career that won Album of the Year, because it's amazing, point blank in the period. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. There's probably way more I could say, but I've already talked long enough about it. I've been rambling. But yeah, that's all I'm going to say. Give me your thoughts about Beyonce winning Album of the Year down below. If you don't agree with it, if you hate it, if you're mad that she won, let me know why. If you love that she won, let me know why. If you're ambivalent, let me know why down below. I'd love to get your thoughts. I really appreciate it. I want to really get your thoughts down below, because I know how I feel, but I really want y'all opinion as to how y'all feel about Beyonce finally winning for this album at this time in her career. So let me know what y'all think about it below. And the last thing I want to say about my overall thoughts on this year's show is that I really love how this is the first time in the general field that all Black artists won in the big three: album, record, and song of the year. I'm glad that this is the first time since 1992, when Natalie Cole took all three categories, that all Black artists have won this category. So shout out to Natalie Cole for making that history. I didn't realize she did that back in 92. I think I did, but I forgot. And this is the first time since 1992 that all Black artists have won the big three. And I, again, during Black History Month, love to see it, period. So just a few more tidbits about some highlights with all the general field wins this year. I really want to highlight how much history Beyonce and Kendrick Lamar made this year. Starting with Beyonce, she's now the fourth Black woman to win Album of the Year. This is the fourth time it's happened after Natalie Cole, Whitney Houston, and Lauryn Hill in the 90s. It all happened in the 90s, and now Beyonce, like 20 plus years later, which is crazy, but she's not the fourth Black woman to win Album of the Year. And I also want to highlight that she's the first Black woman to win Country Album of the Year. And I was crying when the camera panned to her when Taylor Swift announced that she won a country album, and she was like, I was weak. I cried laughing on my couch when I was watching the Grammys. I was like, Beyonce, you knew you was gonna win, girl. Even if she didn't know, she it looked like she was genuinely surprised. So I was not mad at it, but it was so funny and so cute to see her be like, wait, what? They actually gave me that shit? Like, yeah, girl, Cowboy Carter was everything. Like, of course they will give it to you. Like, hello. But like, again, I'm not surprised she was surprised, because she is the first Black woman to win that award. So again, shout out to Beyonce for making that history. And I also want to highlight Kendrick Lamar for winning 5 Grammys for Not Like Us, especially, Song of the Year, Record of the Year in particular, because of the fact that Not Like Us, again, is a diss song, y'all. Like, this is, not only is Not Like Us the second rap song to win Record of the Year and Song of the Year after This Is America, which is amazing. And thank God that another song besides This Is America now has that, to its title. But also, it's the first diss song to really, as far as I know, it's the first diss song to win Grammys, y'all. So that's crazy to think about. Like, a whole diss song that at the end of the day, I think it went beyond. I think the legacy and the love for the song has gone way beyond it being a diss record. I think it's just a great record that people will come to love for years to come because of the music, the musicality, just the vibe of it, not just what it, not that it was going at Drake. But just think about the fact that a diss song really won 5 Grammys in one night, y'all. That is insane. Shout out to Kendrick for that history. And I was crying when he was, I don't know if it was record there or song there, when he was walking up to collect his Grammy. And like the DJ played it just right so that everybody in the freaking Crypto.com arena was singing probably A minor. I was weak and everybody was jigging and grooving when he won. I was like, oh my God. The industry really just said, fuck Drake. Like all at the same time, the industry said, you know what, Kendrick, just take Grammys like as fucking souvenirs. Like just for being here, take 5 Grammys. Like it's giving fuck Drake. Like the whole industry showed their ass and I was crying. But no, even beyond all the funny shit, like, I really just want to highlight the history that Beyonce and Kendrick made with their respective wins in the general fields. And it's a history that I don't know if we'll see be repeated for a long time. So I'm just ecstatic at what happened this year and how it went down. And salute to Kendrick and Beyonce. Amazing. All right, now let me go into some of my thoughts about all the performances this year. So I think, again, this is really a really great year for the performances in general. To me, the only flop performance this year, the one I really just did enjoy across the board, was The Weeknd and Playboi Carti. I'm disappointed because I love The Weeknd and I'm excited for this new era of his, how it continues to unfold. But man, and I like Timeless a lot. It's a song that I didn't like at first, but it grew on me. But I feel like that performance was just so uneventful, and it just felt so random and like a waste of airtime and space. Like I love The Weeknd. Mind you, it had a lot of bells and whistles, a lot of background dances, a lot of lights and stuff going on. But it just felt like empty as hell, which is funny because it's probably the performance that had the most going on. But it felt empty in terms of The Weeknd's performance, Playboi Carti's presence, the song itself. It just felt empty, and I like the song, but it just didn't translate that well live. And I feel like a lot of y'all probably feel the same way. The Weeknd, I love you. This is no shade, but I just feel like he had the worst performance to me in terms of it just didn't make me feel anything. It didn't give me no impact. And it's funny because it actually should have been a moment, because that was The Weeknd coming back after like several years now of saying I'm not with the Grammys, I'm boycotting them. He started boycotting the Grammys since 2021 when he was snubbed across the board, and that still to this day was egregious as hell. And I don't understand how The Weeknd didn't pick up at least one nomination for that Grammy year. That was insane. He had the biggest song of the year and he didn't get not one nomination because the Grammy Academy at that time wanted to be petty because he chose to do the Super Bowl. That was crazy. They're not going to admit it, but that's what it was. So I love that, Harvey Mason came out in the middle of the show, was like, yeah, so we've been reviewing like, our practices and how we're doing things, or, we're making changes, we're updating our membership and all that. I was like, all right, cool. So to, and one artist who called us out for our old practices was The Weeknd. And guess what we decided to do? We decided to make, to shake hands with him and to make up, and guess who is here to perform his new song, whatever, The Weeknd. I was like, oh, okay, so... But I read right through it. To me, this is The Weeknd wanting to come back into the Grammy fold because he wants to get nominations for his new album. That's it. And I'm not mad at it. I get it. I'm pretty sure, after a while, his team was like, okay, the boycott was cute, but now that the dust has settled, let's get you some more nominations for the rest of your career. And I get it. I'm not mad at it because every artist should want that for their promotion and for their legacy. So I'm not mad. I don't think it, to me, it's like him like not standing on his business. I just think as an artist, especially a big artist, like a major level artist, I'm not surprised he said, you know what, let me give this boy. He low-key was on an island by himself. I guess him and Drake. And listen, we know how that went, right? So I'm not surprised he was like, you know what, let me end this Grammy boycott. Let me just go back to Grammys, and all right, I'm gonna be cool with y'all, and let's get back to do it. Let's get back to being cool, because he wants nominations for his new album next year. So I'm not mad at it. But I kind of wish they would just say that instead of him acting like, oh yeah, he made up with the Grammys. He didn't make up with them. He just wants to get more nominations, and that's fine. So, but unfortunately, he had the weakest performance in my opinion. So shame, but it is what it is. Okay, so for the rest of the performances, let me just go through really quickly. The intro, which was the tribute to LA, I Love LA, which is a bunch of people. It was Dawes, John Legend, Sheryl Crow, Brad Paisley, Brittany Howard, and St. Vincent. That was cool. Not a highlight for me, and I kind of wish it had been more exciting and more of a meeting of the moment because of what it signified in terms of the LA wildfires and this year's Grammys being about kind of tributing LA and kind of making LA unite. It felt like it was cute, but I kind of wish whether it had been different artists or just a a different format. I just wish it had been more exciting and like meeting the moment more. Like I just felt like it could have been more of a rally to, you know, for LA to unite and to start the show. I really feel like it could have started off with more of a bang, but it was cute. It wasn't bad, but I was hoping it had more, but it was really cute for what it was. And I liked the I Love LA song. That was really cute. And then we had Billie Eilish perform Birds of a Feather. I love the setup. I love Billie looking like a 2000s, you know, rapper, as she always does, period. But I have to say, I don't know if it was just me, y'all. I feel like Billie's audio sounded off, especially in the last half of the performance. I'm not really sure what it was. I don't know if it was her mic or whatever, or it was just, I don't know. But for me, her, like, Billie, this audio just sounded off, at least in the second half of the performance. But she still did a good job. The vibe was nice, and I appreciate it. You know, I love that song, obviously, and I love what her and Phineas do all the time. So it was cute. But the audio, to me, she was the one performance where I was like, the audio don't really sound that great. But other than Billie, I have to say, one thing I really loved about this year's performances across the board, again, the mics were on, y'all. Especially for all the Best New Artist performances, like, and just a lot of the other ones. Like, the mic was on that night. And, like, everybody was doing a big one. I loved it. Like, everybody was singing full voice. Just show, it was a night of talent and real artists. And everybody was just singing. And I really appreciate that the mic was on. There wasn't a lot of backing tracks. There wasn't a lot of bullshit. It was just people really singing. The mics were on, and I loved it. Next up, we had Sabrina Carpenter doing Espresso and Please, Please, Please. I loved this performance. I loved how Sabrina was so cheeky and she was doing her usual, like, you know, Broadway, you know, dramatic, like, oh, I messed up, but like, I'm messing up on purpose. Like, I love how she did it. I love that, you know, taking a lot of what she does on her tour and she, you know, she put on the Grammy stage. She looked great. She sounded good. Loved her doing, you know, like a jazzier version of Espresso. And then she went into Please, Please, Please a little bit and then came right back into Espresso to finish it off. I loved it. It was smooth. I loved her energy. Like, she was just great. So Sabrina ate it up. She did her big one. I loved it. And the next performance was Chaperone doing Pink Pony Club. Another great performance. Chapel ate it up. She looked great, you know, giving, you know, new age Lady Gaga vibes in her big drag, you know, attire, the makeup, all that. Her usual zhuzh. She killed it. I loved the stage design and everything that was on her stage. It was very dramatic, giving very much a Pink Pony Club on the Grammy stage. It was great. I love that song. Her performance was great. The mic was on. The dancers were great. Like, it was just a great vibe. She sounded good. Like, really, she met the moment, and that was a great, beautiful debut performance as well from a really promising artist. So Chaperone did a great job. And speaking of Sabrina Carpenter and Chaperone, I really loved the like Best New Artist clips that they had this year. I feel like this might have been one of the first years they had that, if I remember correctly, and I loved it. I love how they kind of gave like a little, like, you know, this is like my little life autobiography up until this point of being a new famous artist. They did it for Sabrina and Chaperone. I think they did it for just those two. I don't know, did they do it for Doechii? I can't remember. But I really loved it. I loved how it was like a short little montage clip about how they got to the point where they're at now. I thought that was a really beautiful way to kind of introduce these, you know, front runners for the Best New Artist category. But my only issue with it, even though I loved it, I really wish they had done it for every artist in the Best New Artist category and not just the front runners. I feel like that was a little bit unfair because I mean, there's only so much time on air, but I really wish they had did it, you know, just for all the artists, just to make it a little more fair and not to make it obvious that Sabrina Carpenter and Chaperone were the front runners in that category. Obviously, they were the front runners, but I kind of wish they had given those video clips, you know, stories to all the Best New Artists and just make them shorter so that, you know, they can all be fit in. That's how I would have done it, just to make it fair. And I feel like it's also a great way to get to know all the other artists as well, even if it's not, you know, not the ones with the front runners. So I really feel like that should have happened, but it's whatever. I still loved the idea and I thought they did it so well, so I wanted to commend it. But speaking of all the other Best New Artists, after that, they had this really amazing medley of performances from all the Best New Artists. And when I tell you guys, this was probably one of my favorite parts of the show. I loved it. It was such a great idea. I didn't know they were doing this, and they were doing it, and I was like, oh my God, this is such a great idea. Like, having them perform back to back to back. But the thing is, it didn't feel like competitive. It didn't feel like you were comparing them. It just felt like a really beautiful showcase of all the Best New Artists that were nominated. And, you know, them performing like, you know, their best known song or whatever, and just showcasing like what they do. And I was like, this is such a great idea because, one, it gives all the Best New Artists a guaranteed shot to not only be nominated and have attention that way, but to also perform and get to, you know, show why the Grammy Academy voted them as one of the most promising new artists of their Grammy class. I thought it was such a great idea. And I have to say, again, it was one of the highlights of the show. I think it was a great idea that the Grammys did to keep for years to come. Like, Grammys, make sure you guys always have this in the plan every year. Like, I think it's a great idea. Even if y'all don't do the video clip thing, at least have all the Best New Artists perform back to back to back. I loved it. The only thing is, it was a little bit it was a little bit out of sync because obviously Sabrina Carpenter and Chaperone being like frontrunners and being big artists, they kind of got their own slots, whereas the other artists kind of were like in a medley back to back, which is fine. I would have done them all together, but I understand why Sabrina and Chaperone got their own performances because they're much bigger artists. But then we had a medley of Khruangbin doing May 9th, Benson Boone doing Beautiful Things, where a lot of his areas were showing. Doechii did Catfish and Denial's River. I'm gonna get into that in a second. Teddy Swims did Lose Control, and Shabuzi did a bar song Tipsy and Good News, and then Ray did Oscar-winning Tears. When I tell y'all these all great performances back to back to back, I loved it. I really want to highlight Ray, especially with that vocal performance. She ate it up. I've known about Ray for a long time, but I'm hoping y'all get with the program and get with Ray because she's amazing. Get on her. Like, her music is amazing. She's an amazing artist. Stop sleeping on Ray. She's an amazing vocalist. Go check her out right now. And I also really want to highlight Doechii as well. Doechii, man, Doechii, girl, Doechii, girl, you ate that. Like, Doechii had the best performance of the night. Please don't tell me you disagree with me. Doechii got her black ass up there, got her beautiful black ass up there during Black History Month at one of the blackest Grammys in recent memory, and delivered one of the blackest performances of all time, and had probably, in my opinion, the moment of the night. What a breakout moment for an artist I've been watching for a long time, and I'm so happy to finally see her getting her moment. Like, and she met the moment in a way that a lot of new artists ever do. My girl got up there in her little Tom Brown fit with all the background dancers all in their braids and all dark skin, black as fuck, like everyone looking like twins. Tom Brown came out there, dancing, flipping, all that acrobatic vibes while rapping. The mic was on, rapping, singing, all that, giving energy, I'm in the moment. I'm performing with intention. I'm present. I'm giving you my everything. Eye tape on, like, just looking gorgeous, singing, performing at full volume, and then she gonna take off the Tom Brown. She's in her Brown panties, matching Tom Brown vibe, and she just, continues going, and she ate up that entire stage. She shook up that room with her performance. And Doechii, Jayla Hickman, I am so proud of you for that performance. I was sitting there like in shock and awe as to what I was witnessing. The beauty, the execution, the intention, the power of that performance. Doechii, one of my favorite new artists of this time. Doechii's one of my favorite, and she has been for a while. One of my favorite new artists of this time, and she proved why on that Grammy stage. And that came, either before or after she won her Grammy for Best Rap Album, making history on top of that, as the third female winner in that category behind Lauryn Hill and Cardi B. Wow. And speaking of that Best Rap Album win, for her to win for a mixtape before her debut album that not a lot of people really knew about before Denial's River really started popping off is amazing. But I think it shows you that even within the industry, the people who know what they're doing saw Doechii and were like, oh, you know what? No, she needs to win something, and let's give it to her for Best Rap Album, because that mixtape was amazing. For her to win Best Rap Album for a mixtape before her debut album, you know how historic that is? Do you guys understand how historic that is? I think the last person to win for a mixtape was Chance the Rapper back in 2017. And Chance the Rapper was on fire that year. Doechii is kind of just now starting to go. And she already won a Grammy. Man, y'all not ready for Doechii. Doechii's about to change this industry. Y'all not ready for her. But let me stop talking. Doechii, I love you. Congrats on that performance. You killed it. And congrats on your win. Deserved. I didn't think you would, but I was shocked that they gave it to her, but I'm so happy they did. I thought they would give it to, either Eminem or Future and Metro Boomin, classic decision making by the Grammys. But for them to give it to Doechii was truly amazing. And I have to say, to me, that signifies a new day for the Grammys. It signifies that the Grammys are really trying to push in a new direction of rewarding, evolution and rewarding artistic excellence and, uniqueness over the tried and true formula of always awarding the same person or, the person who's most popular in that category. I think you can see that the Grammys are slowly going away from that. And Doechii's win in particular, to me, was a sign of that moving forward. For Doechii to win that category was major. And I can't say enough about it. I'm so excited for her. And I'm excited for the future of the Grammys as well, from what I'm seeing with what happened this year with all the wins. So I love it. The last thing I'll say about Doechii, y'all, is her win took me out. When Doechii won, I was deceased, but then she brought me back to life with her speech. Like, I loved it. To me, she had one of the best speeches of the night. Just talking about how, like, she had to go through sobriety to get to where she's at now in her career, and how she stayed true to her sobriety journey, and she got rewarded in the end with this Grammy. Her giving love to all the Black girls coming up behind her, and just her talking about her journey and thanking everyone in her life, like, and thanking her mama. Like, it was such a beautiful speech. Her thanking God. It was just such a classic, beautiful speech, and she brought me back to life, and she gave me life with that speech. It was amazing to witness. So again, Doechii, I'm proud of you, and I'm so happy for you. But yeah, so all the artists in the Best New Artist medley, they killed it. The only two that kind of wish turned it up a notch was definitely Shaboozey and Khruangbin. They definitely weren't bad, but I kind of wish they had given me a little bit more the way the other Best New Artists did. Teddy Swims was singing his ass off. Benson Boone was please stay, giving us vocals, giving us flips, all that. Like, he was killing it. Everybody was really eating it up. But I feel like Shaboozey and Khruangbin were kind of just like, yeah, they were chilling. But I really wish they had turned it up a notch. But they weren't bad. But I just wish they kind of turned it up a notch. But they're still great artists, so it's all good. But that was Best New Artist medley, and everybody ate it up. I feel like this year's lineup in Best New Artist was one of the best lineups of nominees we've seen in a long time. So I feel like it actually came at the perfect time to highlight an amazing class of Best New Artists. But regardless of how far, Best New Artist groups will be moving forward, I really feel like this is a great idea, and I hope that they stick with it moving forward. Next up, Bruno Mars and Lady Gaga did a cover of California Dreamin', and they ate it up. Gaga was her usual dramatic bag, ate it, but she's so classic. Bruno Mars, the mic was on, he was singing in great voice, he was just giving his all to. A really beautiful moment in the show. I love the tribute to LA with that song. They both did a great job. It was a really sweet moment. They both killed it. I really wish they had done Die with a Smile, but obviously that would have been really tone deaf. But they still did a great job performing that song, so it was amazing. And next up was the Quincy Jones tribute, which I liked, but I did wish that they reworked it a little bit. I really feel like it was great, but it would have been perfect for me if they at least had added a little bit of a video clip, like a montage clip of, like, his life and his biggest moments throughout his life, to kind of show people who maybe weren't aware of who he was and his significance to the music industry, what he had done throughout his life. I think a lot of people know who Quincy Jones is, but just for anybody who didn't know, like, I really feel like it would have been nice to have had a little video clip just to really show the magnitude of his life and what he did, because he really lived a beautiful, amazing life. And I really feel like that Grammy tribute didn't really signify that. The performances were nice, but I really feel like we needed some type of, like, video clip to show the amazingness of one of the pioneers of the music industry and one of the greats to have really graced the industry, one of the greatest to ever do it as a producer, as a musician, like one of the greatest to ever do it. I really feel like that tribute didn't really signify the weight of his life and what he gave to music, because it was just a bunch of performances. There was no video clip, nothing like that, but it was still cute for what it was, so I appreciated it. I will say, to me, the people who performed, obviously Cynthia Erivo, to me, was the one that just took it away. She performed, I think, Fly Me to the Moon, and Cynthia Erivo, that voice, her presence, her poise, her vocal technique, the way she takes her time, but the choices that she makes with her voice, the beauty of her voice, she just, she left that room in awe, as she should, because that's what she does, and she ate it up. It was the best part of that tribute, with doing Fly Me to the Moon. And then we also had, Herbie Hancock on the piano. He killed it. Lainey Wilson, I think she did Let the Good Times Roll. I can't remember. Jacob Collier did a little bit as well. Stevie Wonder came out to do We Are the World, which was really cute. I love that moment. Stevie killed it on the harmonica, sitting along with Herbie Hancock. That was such a beautiful moment. May we please keep Stevie Wonder on Earth for a long time to come, please. Stevie's one of the few Infinity Stones left. Like, let's hold on to him dearly, please. And then Janelle Monáe came through and did a little bit of Don't Stop to Get Enough, doing her best impression of Michael, which I thought was cute. I thought she did a good job. Not, to me, the best Janelle Monáe performance I've seen. It felt like somewhat of an afterthought a little bit in terms of just the way it was set up and her performance of it. But she still brought the energy like she gonna always bring. It's Janelle Monáe, come on, she gonna always bring the energy. It was cute, a little random, but it was still cute for what it was. So that was a tribute to Quincy Jones. It was nice, not, in my opinion, as good as it could have been. Maybe if they had, like, other artists involved, or like I said, more of that, like, more video clips, just to really, magnetize the weight of the moment, and magnetize the loss that, his death was to music. I really feel like they could have shown that with more in that tribute, but it was still cute for what it was, so it was fine. And then we had Chris Martin and Grace Bowers do the In Memoriam. They performed the new Coldplay song All My Love, which is a beautiful song by Coldplay off their latest album music. Really great song. It was cool. Shout out to Chris Martin. And then next up was Shakira. She did a track off of her debut album. I think it's called Ojos Así. And then she did the Bizarre Rap Music Sessions Volume 53. Shakira was good. Obviously, she did great with her dancing and all that. Like, visually was a great performance to watch. But I do think, along with Billie, Shakira was one of the other artists that had some audio issues throughout the night. I think it's because, like, I don't know if she had a headpiece or I can't remember if she had a mic or not, but it did seem like maybe it was a backing track or something like that. I just felt like her audio was like not right, or you could tell she wasn't singing that much, or just for the Grammys it felt like, okay, girl, if you're gonna be here, you're gonna sing, like, this is the Grammys, you know, but not the VMAs. But it was fine. She still looked good, but it felt like kind of a random performance. I think it was just to go along with the fact that she won a Grammy this year, and because of all her recent stuff, like her tax stuff and her husband and all that, I feel like this was like a redemption year for Shakira at the Grammy. So, like, of course, they gave her a Grammy and she got to perform. But I feel like neither didn't really have to happen, but it is what it is. No shade. Love Shakira. And then last up was Charli XCX, who did a medley of Von Dutch and Guess. I loved the Von Dutch portion. I loved that. Her coming with the cars, you know, walking down with a little party that she was dancing, like the little club vibe. But before that, I loved that. But then when she came out on stage and transitioned to Guess with a bunch of dancers, like I kind of had like a little mini rave on stage. I didn't like that performance at all. I just hated Guess because one, Billie didn't come out. Billie was there in the audience. I don't know why they didn't have Billie Eilish join Charli XCX for that performance. And then Charli wasn't even singing. She was just like yelling and prancing around and talking, and like it didn't give talent. It just gave, I'm just gonna, you know, and I know Charli XCX is talented, but I feel like that performance didn't show her talent. It just showed her prancing around. And I know it's Brat Summer, it's a theme. It's alright, Brat, cool. But it's like still give a performance. Like I feel like the guest part was very like, it felt very like no intention, just tacked on. Whereas the Von Dutch part to me was way better. She was performing. I liked how it was like moving. It had intention. Like it was just it was more engaging. But the guest part to me was just really random. But I still love Charli XCX. I have no issue with her. But that to me was very much an afterthought. But it was a really random way to end the show, but it is what it is. So that was all the performances. Let me know what y'all thought about all of them down below, and who's your favorite and least favorite, and you know, just all your thoughts about who performed down below. All right, now I'm just going to finish up with some random thoughts I had about this year's Grammys, as well as my thoughts and just kind of running through all the other winners that weren't presented during the telecast and all that. So first up, fun fact about this year that I love in the general field is I love that Raphael Sadiq finally gets another Grammy for being one of the main producers and songwriters for Album of the Year for, you know, his contributions to Cowboy Carter. I love that for Raphael Sadiq, a quiet legend in this game that doesn't really get enough love and attention, but Raphael Sadiq is one of them. He's one of your favorite artists, his favorite, you know, artists, producers, songwriters, all that. So I'm glad he got another Grammy on his mantle for his work on Cowboy Carter. Deserved, period. Love that for him. And Kendrick pulled off the rare feat of being one of the few artists that have won Song of the Year, one of the few songwriters that have won Song of the Year as a solo, like just by himself, like as a solo artist. Like it's very rare that you have a person winning Song of the Year writing the song by themselves. It happens, but it's very rare. And I love that as a whole black man. Like, I'm pretty sure he's the first black man to have won this category by himself. So I think that's an amazing piece of history that was made again. All the history that was made this year was amazing. Again, he might not have been my pick for Song of the Year, no shade, but I'm definitely happy that he won. But you know, with him winning, it's amazing that he won by himself. So that's just I love to see that. So had to give it to Kendrick for that. I also want to shout out Amy Allen for being the first female winner of Songwriter of the Year. I love that for her. I'm glad she's the first female winner. I'm glad she won. It was definitely between her and Ray. I'm not surprised that she won it and she deserved it. So I'm happy for her. Amy Allen, you deserve it. And I'm happy you're the first female winner. Congratulations. I also want to stress the importance of award shows. I think as time goes on, this generation doesn't see the need for award shows as much, but I really want to highlight the fact that Money Long was able to win a Grammy this year for Made For Me, that she only was able to win and be nominated for because she was able to submit the live version of Made For Me, because the regular recording version wasn't eligible this year because she submitted it last year. A lot of times, you know, songs will catch on the year after they were submitted for a Grammy, so they become ineligible. That's what happened with Lose Control by Teddy Swims. He submitted the live version, but it didn't get nominated, even though it should have been. But again, the Soul Train Awards didn't even air this past fall, and it broke my heart. I still don't know why. I don't know if it was a funding thing or a ratings thing or some of the reason, logistics. I don't know. what happens. I don't think the Soul Train Awards we came out and said what happened, but the Soul Train Awards for the first time in I don't know how long didn't air this past fall. And as an R&B lover that broke, I'm not surprised because as time goes on, I feel like there's less and less love for especially R&B by itself in an awards format. There's just less love and demand for it, and I get why. Because this generation is probably the generation that cares about R&B the least out of everybody in existence in life, which is fine. But it really broke my heart that the Soul Train Awards did not happen this past fall. And I think it speaks to, again, as time goes on, people's perception that award shows are not necessary and that they're not important. But again, if Money Long had not been given the platform to perform Made For Me during the 2023 Soul Train Awards, she would not have been able to have been nominated and eventually win her Grammy for Made For Me with the live version. So I just want to highlight that for y'all as to a perfect example as to why I feel like we need award shows in this modern era to highlight all types of excellence in music, film, TV, whatever it is. Award shows are important. For me, it's not about just highlighting the popularity contest of it all. To me, that's the petty part of it. To me, it's about actually honoring excellence and being able to give those moments in music and entertainment history that we probably wouldn't be able to get otherwise, you know? There are not many avenues and venues where we're gonna be able to see our favorite artists all together in the same room. There's fashion shows and stuff like that, but there's not many venues and opportunities for artists to all be in the same room with their managers, A&Rs, all that, all in the same room, kind of, celebrating each other and giving each other moments to be able to perform their work and interact and make connections and just for historic moments to happen. Like these award shows like the Grammys and the Soul Train Awards and Oscars and the BET Awards and VMAs, and these are all Billboard, iHeartRadio. These are all moments that artists have to be able to promote themselves and give us moments. So I really don't like that we're going with this narrative that awards are not necessary when with Money Long's win, we see exactly why they are. So I just wanted to say that. Let me know what y'all think down below. Okay, let me keep going through the categories. So obviously Kendrick won Record of the Year for Not Like Us. Love that. I'm glad I predicted it. Beyonce won for Album of the Year, as we know. Kendrick won for Song of the Year. I predicted Doubt the Smile, which is what I was pulling for. I thought Doubt the Smile would have lost. It would have went to Billy for Birds of a Feather. I'm surprised it went to Kendrick, but I'm not mad at it at all. Not Like Us is a great song, so I'm glad he won. I do think his win for this in Song of the Year was a little bit much, but I'm happy with the history that was made with this win in particular. In terms of black artists being able to win the big three and with a solo black male artist winning Song of the Year. I love that, so I'm not mad at it. Chaperone won Best New Artist, as I knew she would. I'm happy for her. She definitely deserved it. And I really have to give love to the speech she gave when she won. Just talking about, labels doing more for artists in terms of, healthcare and, livable wages while they're developing and all that. And I think that's a really hard conversation to have because at the end of the day, I don't see how labels see the incentive to fund developing artists' lifestyle if there's no guarantee that they'll be successful in future years, which is, I think, is the hard part of the debate. But I definitely am here for just in general, all of our industries and, employers doing more to actually hold us down in terms of just giving us the bare minimum in terms of healthcare coverage and, a livable wage and stuff like that. Like I'm all here for that. It's hard to, get down to the nitty gritty of all those details and all that, but I'm definitely in the favor of artists and what they need and funding their lifestyles to be able to make sure that they're okay so that they can pour their all into their art and so that they can make more money for the labels. Hello. So I love Chapo giving that speech. I love that message. Dan Agro won Producer of the Year, which I'm not surprised he won. I was pulling for D-Mile, Durance D-Mile the second, but I'm not surprised Dan Agro took that for his work with Chaperone and Olivia Rodrigo. Happy for him. Shout out to Dan Agro, great producer. Amy Allen won Songwriter of the Year. As I said, love that for her. Pop Soul Performance went to Sabrina Carpenter for Espresso, which I'm happy about. But I do think it deserved to go to Billie Eilish for Birds of a Feather. And again, I think this is the one category where Billie should have taken it. But I'm not surprised it went to Espresso. It was a much bigger song throughout the year, to be honest. But, it is what it is. I love that song, so I'm not mad about it. Best Pop Duo Group Performance went to Doubt the Smile. I'm glad at least Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars took this if they couldn't take Song of the Year. So I'm glad they took this. They should have won it. I'm glad they did, period. Amazing record. Best Pop Vocal Album went to Short and Sweet by Sabrina Carpenter. I'm glad I predicted it. A lot of people probably thought it was probably going to be Billie Eilish or Taylor Swift or even Chaperone. And to me, it made the most sense for it to go to Sabrina Carpenter, and I explained why in my prediction video. And I'm glad I was right. So she won that. And I'm glad she won it because that's my personal pick as well. Probably my favorite album in the category. Let's see. Best Dance Electronic Recording went to Justice and Tame Impala for Never Ender. Shout out to them. I was pulling for Kayshonada and Childish Gambino, but it's what it is. Best Dance Pop Recording went to Von Dutch by Charli XCX. I was pulling for Yes and by Ariana Grande, but looking back, I'm actually not surprised Von Dutch won, and I kind of really should have predicted it. But I just thought Yes and was a bigger song, and it was. But I guess maybe especially in the voting period, Von Dutch was more relevant during the voting period, so I guess it makes sense why Von Dutch won. And Von Dutch is a banger, so I'm not mad about it. A really good song, so I'm not mad at one. Shout out Charli XCX, and she also won for Best Dance Electronic Album for Brat. Love that for her. Best Remixed Recording Non-Classical went to Espresso. It really went to Mark Ronson and FNZ for their remix of Espresso, the Working Late remix. Shout out to them. Really cool, really cute remix. It would have been nice for the Alter Ego remix to win, the Kayshonada remix for Alter Ego to win. I would have loved that, but it's cool. Let's see. I'm not going to go through the rock, metal, and alternative categories too deeply. But it looks like pretty much the Rolling Stones and the Beatles and St. Vincent cleaned up in those categories. The R&B categories, R&B performance went to Made For Me, the Live on BET by Money Long. I'm glad I predicted that, as she should have won. I would have loved for it to go on to Coco Jones for Here We Go, but I'm not mad at it. It went to Made For Me, love Made For Me. I'm not mad about it. Best traditional R&B performance went to That's You by Lucky Daye. I'm glad Lucky Daye won. A great record. He killed it. It was, for me, the win should have been between him and Money Long, so I'm glad at least one of them won. I probably would have given it to Money Long for Make Me Forget, but I'm glad That's You won. Lucky Days, that is a great song, so shout out to him. Best R&B song went to Saturn by SZA, period, as it should have went to. Great song. Saturn is a really brilliant song, beautiful record. I'm glad it won. SZA, and also a fun fact about R&B song, SZA is the only artist, or at least the most recent artist to win in this category, Best R&B Song back-to-back since Stevie Wonder in the 70s. So, amazing fun fact, and I love that for SZA. Shout out to her for winning this category back-to-back. Best Progressive R&B Album was a tie this year between So Glad to Know You by Avery Sunshine and Why Lord by No Worries, who was Anderson .Paak and Knowledge. Which is really funny to see because I didn't even think Avery Sunshine would be nominated in this category, and she won it along with No Worries. So I love that for her. She's been grinding for forever and ever. That's auntie right there. I love her. Shout out to Avery Sunshine. I'm happy for her. This is her first Grammy in her career, and I'm glad she has at least one on her mantle now for the rest of her career. Shout out to her for a really good album that nobody heard, but it's a really good album, so just definitely go check it out. And I'm glad Why Lord won. I thought Childish Gambino would take this category, but I'm glad they gave it to Why Lord because that was my pick for the category as well. Shout out to No Worries for a great album. I'm glad they won for sure. Best R&B album went to 1111 Deluxe by Chris Brown, which I'm not surprised by. Who's my spoiler? But I definitely thought this would be a win between Lucky Daye and Usher. To me, those made way more, not Usher. Lucky Daye would have made more sense musically. And I think Usher made a lot of sense because of the big comeback year that he had. But to me, the Chris Brown win made sense because I feel like this was a good year for Chris Brown to have finally won his second Grammy after all these years. And it would have been weird for him to have won an African music performance like I predicted, even though I thought he would. It would have been weird for him to win as a non-African artist. And obviously, best R&B performance was really tight with, Money Long being in that category. So I feel like this is a great place for them to have awarded him, and it made sense that he won it. And 1111 Deluxe, even though that album is mid as a whole, I think he won this category off of the love of residuals. I think that's the honest truth, and I get it. Because this album has some great songs on it. As a whole, it's not his best project at all. It's not one of his best. It's a mid album as a whole. But there's great songs sprinkled throughout. So I think he really won off of the power of the singles, especially residuals. But it is what it is. Shout out to Chris Brown regardless. I'm happy he at least has another Grammy on his mantle besides one. He's one of the greatest artists of our time, so it's only a shame that he only had one up until now. So at least now he has two. Kendrick racked up in the rap categories. He won rap performance and rap song, as he should have. I'm glad he won. Even though I would have loved for Doechii to have won for Nissan Altima and rap performance. It's cool. I'm glad he won both categories. I'm not mad at it. And then Rhapsody won Best Melodic Rap Performance for 3 AM with her and Erykah Badu. I'm so happy for Rhapsody. I really want to, give love to her because I didn't think she would win this year, but she definitely was my spoiler, so I thought she had a shot. But I didn't think she would win over Spaghetti or, We Still Don't Trust You. But I'm happy for her because now she finally is a Grammy winner after all these years. And one thing about it, Rhapsody is literally one of the greatest female rappers of our time. And a lot of people don't really recognize that because they don't listen to her, or because even if they do listen to her, they just don't, think about her that much because she really stay out the way. But Rhapsody is one of the greatest female rappers of our time, one of the greatest, rap artists of our time. And I'm glad she finally has a Grammy in her mantle, because I don't know how many more chances Rhapsody would have had in the future to not only be nominated but also win. So I'm glad she actually finally won for a Grammy for a really great song. And then on top of that, she was able to get Erykah Badu another Grammy in her mantle, which is amazing because Erykah Badu has not won a Grammy since 2003. So I love that she finally gave Erykah Badu another chance to win a Grammy as well. And I love that. So I'm happy for both of them for winning for melodic rap, for a really good song. And yeah, I'm really surprised by that, but I'm happy that they won, and I love that for them. And best rap album went to Doechii, as we know, and best spoken word poetry album went to Tank and the Bangas for The Heart, the Mind, the Soul. An album that I love. Is a great project of Tank and the Bangas, just, Tank singing and just, spitting, just giving amazing poems and just amazing spoken word pieces throughout. It's a really great album. I was pulling for them. I'm glad they won their first win as well. Shout out to Tank and the Bangas. I'm glad they finally won a Grammy, period, for a really great project. Shout out to them. In the jazz categories, can we talk about Samara Joy? Samara Joy racked up for, winning Best Jazz Performance and Best Jazz Vocal Album for Twinkle Twinkle Little Me and for Joyful Holiday. Samara Joy winning these jazz Grammys for just a little cute Christmas EP is insane. Samara, can we talk about the run that Samara Joy is on right now? Is it Samara or Samara? I don't know. I'm sorry, girl. I'm going to say Samara Joy. The run that Samara Joy is on right now, y'all, like, she is going to be one of our new modern greats in jazz. Like, she's already stamped as one of our new modern young greats in jazz. She's going to be the face of jazz for this new era and this new generation. And I love that for her because her voice is insane. Her talent is out of this world. I've already talked about her in previous videos. Her talent is insane. And I'm so happy for her. Like, she's going to be giving like the new Adele, the new Bruno Mars, like the person that just wins damn near every Grammy that they're nominated for. Like, she's going to win them all. Like, she's going to be one of those new people that just wins 90% of the time when she's nominated. And I love that for her because, period, she's so talented. She deserves it. She's going to be one of our new greats. That voice is insane. And I'm loving just seeing her take up all the Grammys. Like, every year, she's been nominated consistently every year since she won Best New Artist. And she's won at least one every year. Like, insane. Like, amazing. And Best Alternative Jazz Album, it actually didn't go to Andre 3000. It went to Michelle Andiocello for her No More Water, the Gospel of James Baldwin album, which I was really surprised by. I definitely had a feeling that she had a shot, but I thought that would go to Andre 3000 since he was nominated for Album of the Year. And I thought they want to give him something, but he didn't win that. But, shout out to Michelle Andiocello. Andre 3000 was one of her people. It was one of her icons, so I'm glad that she won it. And she was also repping for Andre 3000 with her sweatshirt in the Grammy suits. I love that for her. Norah Jones won for Best Traditional Pop Vocal Album. Her first win in a long time. Love that for her. And Alicia Keys and a bunch of other people won for a Best Musical Theater Album for Hell's Kitchen, her Broadway play about her life. Love that for her. Adam Blackstone won that as well. Love that for Alicia Keys and Adam Blackstone. And in the country categories, let's get to it. Okay. What happened in Best Country Soul Performance to me was truly egregious and really should have been a deserved and beautiful win for either of the black artists in the category. I'm sorry, I don't want to make it racial, but I'm just gonna call a thing a thing. That category should have went to either Beyonce or Shabuzi. And not because it should have been a award for one of the black artists, but to me, those are the two songs that deserved it the most. Musically, 16 Carriages is the most beautiful song in this category. But in terms of success and popularity and all that, Shabuzi's A Bar Song. That fits the bill. If I really think it should have gone to Shabuzi to at least give an award somewhere to one of the most popular and beloved songs of this time period and probably of this generation. It's one of the most successful songs in Billboard history. So for it to not win a Grammy is like, it's not, not like, again, no one's owed Grammys, but it looks a little crazy. Especially since Old Town Road, the other most successful song in the history of Billboard, won 2 Grammys. For an artist who a lot of people don't really feel like should have won Grammys. But Shabuzi is a really talented artist, and A Bar Song did major things last year. So for it to not have won at least one Grammy is really sad. And I feel like this is the category where it should have prevailed. If not this country song, but it is what it is. So if not, and if Shabuzi should have lost, he should have lost to Beyonce for 16 Carriages, not to It Takes a Woman by Chris Stapleton. I love Chris Stapleton. I love his voice. He's an amazing artist. But I believe this is Chris Stapleton's 5th win in the category. I think he won his category last year. So it's like, no, let's not make history in one of the country categories by giving it to Beyonce. And I believe she would have been the first black woman to win this category. Let's not give it to Shabuzi, who I think would have been the second black artist after, and the second black male artist after Darius Rucker, I think, to win this category. Let's not give it to Shabuzi for one of the biggest songs in the history of music. Let's give it to Chris Stapleton again for the 5th time. Like, seriously, country voters, like, come on, y'all. Like, Chris Stapleton couldn't take a year off of this category. He's won it 4 times already. Like, them not giving it to Beyonce or Shabuzi is really sad in my opinion. Or at least give it to Jelly Roll. So he, give it to, like, I don't know. It is what it is. Give it to Casey for The Architect. Like, I just feel like Chris Stapleton is the one person that really shouldn't have won it. It's not a bad song, but to me, him winning it was just really egregious and like just a clear sign that the country voters were trying their best to make sure that Beyonce didn't monopolize the categories instead of like, or that black artists didn't monopolize the categories. You can clearly tell that with this that did. In my opinion, country song, I'm not mad that it went to The Architect because I love that song and that's who I actually would have voted for. I think The Architect should have won Best Country Song, so I'm actually glad it did. I thought that would go to Shabuzi or Beyonce, but I'm actually glad it went to The Architect, so I'm not mad about it, and that one doesn't make me as upset. But the country soul performance win was so stupid to me. Like, y'all made it clear yourself that y'all just didn't want black artists to take up every single category. Y'all made it clear. Like, okay, fine. But it wouldn't have done it it wouldn't have gone that way if y'all had just given Casey country song and given, either Beyonce or Shabuzi the win in country solo. Like, that way, it wouldn't have been black artists monopolizing all the country categories. Hello? But whatever. That was crazy. And the best country duo performance went to Beyonce and Miley Cyrus for Two Most Wanted. I'm glad they pulled through for the win. They deserve that. I'm glad they won it. Then when Molly was presenting an award, she was like, Beyonce, you won a Grammy earlier today. Okay. I said, I know that's right. I would not. Why would I not go up on the Grammy stage and say, hey, Beyonce, we won a Grammy, sis. Okay. Like, why would I not say that? Shout out to Molly. She did what she had to do, period. And then best country album went to Cowboy Carter by Beyonce, as it should have. I loved F1 Trillion. I loved Casey Musgraves' album. But I'm obviously Cowboy Carter should have won. I'm sorry. It's what it should have won. I'm not gonna go through the Americana categories, but I will say I don't understand why Beyonce didn't win Best Americana Performance for Yaya. To me, Yaya's a song that should have won a Grammy. To me, I don't understand why the Americana voters allowed it so that Sierra Ferrell just took up all those categories. She's a new artist. I don't understand why she took. I'm pretty sure she's a great artist, but I don't understand why she took up all the Americana categories. She won every single category, and Beyonce's Yaya was right there in Americana performance, and she didn't win it. And to me, that's really crazy because I feel like that should have been an easy win for Beyonce during Grammy night. Like, and her winning only 3 out of 11 nominations doesn't look that great in my opinion. It really feels like, especially in the year where she was nominated for Album of the Year and she was the most nominated artist, I feel like she should have pulled at least 4 or 5 Grammys. Like, at least 4 or 5. And I feel like Yaya would have been a perfect 4th Grammy for her to have picked up. I don't understand why she didn't win for Yaya. To me, it would have been a great package for her to win Album of the Year, Country Album, Country Duo for Two Most Wanted, and Yaya for Americana Performance. She didn't need to win for Texas Hold'em. She didn't need to, even though that was nominated for 3 Grammys. 16 Carriages, I can see her losing that category to Shabuzi or Chris Stapleton, or even somebody else, Jelly Roll, Casey, whatever. But I really feel like she should have won for Yaya, and that would have given her a cute 4 wins. And 4 out of 11 looks a lot better than 3 out of 11. You know what I'm saying? So, but whatever. So I feel like Beyonce was snubbed crazy for Yaya, but it is what it is. I'm really mad she lost that one. But shout out to Sierra Ferrell, love that for her. But Yaya should have won a Grammy. I feel a way about that. I'm not gonna hold you. In the gospel categories, looks like CeCe Winans cleaned up for album and contemporary Christian music performance. Doe won for contemporary Christian album. Gospel performance song went to Tasha Cobbs Leonard, Erica Campbell, and Israel Houghton and Jonathan McReynolds and Jacqueline Carr for One Hallelujah. Shout out to them. Corey Henry won for Best Roots Gospel Album for his album Church. Shout out to him. His first Grammy, I think. Congrats, Corey Henry. Shakira won Best Latin Pop Album for her latest project. I thought Calichus would take that, but I'm not surprised they gave it to Shakira. Bad Bunny lost Musica Urbana album, but that's fine because he'll win it next year for his new album. So I'm not mad he lost it this year. I get it. Sheila E. won, and Gloria Estefan won for Best Global Music Performance for Bemba Colora. Shout out to them. I think that's Sheila E.'s first Grammy. Shout out to Sheila E. on her first Grammy. Love that for her. My baby Thames won Best African Music Performance for Love Me Jeje. I'm so happy she won. I'm mad I didn't predict her at the last minute. I switched my prediction to Sensational by Chris Brown. But I should have stuck with my guns that Love Me Jeje would win, and I'm glad it did. It's my favorite song in the category. I'm glad it won. I'm so happy that Thames finally has an African Grammy, not just like a melodic rap, performance, but like African performance. I love that for her. For a great song, so I'm happy for her. She lost like Best Global Music Album to Matt B and the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra, but it's cool. Best Reggae Album went to the Bob Marley One Love soundtrack. Not surprised about that. Shout out to all those artists that won in that category. Best Children's Album did not go to John Legend. It went to Lucky Diaz and the Family Jam Band. Okay. Dave Chappelle won again for Best Comedy Album for The Dreamer. Jimmy Carter won for Best Audiobook, Narration, and Storytelling for Last Sunday in Plains, a Centennial Celebration. And for Best Compilation Soundtrack for Visual Media, that went to Maestro. So Bradley Cooper won another Grammy for this category. And you know what's funny? I think it's hilarious how the Grammys love Bradley Cooper, but the Oscars hate him. The Oscars didn't give him director for, I think, Maestro and A Star Is Born. They didn't give him director for either of those movies. He's not won a single Oscar yet. He's been given a lot of nominations, but no wins yet. Yet he's won 2 or is it 3 Grammys at this point now? He's won for Best Pop Duo. I think he won 3. Best Pop Duo with him and Lady Gaga for Shallow, and I think him and Gaga won for another category for that song, or another, I can't remember. And then he won for this category for Maestro's soundtrack. So like the Grammys love Bradley Cooper, but the Oscars hate him. It's so funny. You think it'll be the opposite, but no. The Grammys they just continue to give Bradley Cooper love, and the Oscars are like, sorry, not this year, Bradley. Like, it's just so funny how life works out sometimes. Best Score soundtrack went to Dune Part 2. Shout out to Hans Zimmer. Best Song for Visual Media went to John Baptiste for It Never Went Away. His song for the American Symphony movie, which also won Best Music Film. Shout out to John Baptiste. He won 2 for 2 in those categories. Love that for him. And Best Music Video went to Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar, which I'm very happy about. I love that video. I'm happy that Kendrick won it. Although he's won this category before, twice actually. And I really feel like, again, I said it before, this should have went to A$AP Rocky for Taylor Swift. Awkward time for A$AP Rocky to win a Grammy for obvious reasons. Stay strong in that trial, bro. But yeah, this really should have went to A$AP Rocky for Taylor Swift. That was an amazing video that was bananas. It really should have won. It really should have won this category, but it's fine. But I'm glad that if he lost, I'm glad that he lost to Kendrick, because Not Like Us is a great video. So I'm glad that Kendrick took this one if A$AP wasn't gonna win it. Best Recording Package went to Brat. Shout out Charlie XCX and all those people that are involved with that. I've not seen it, but I'm pretty sure it's probably fire. Let's see. Best Immersive Audio Album went to I.O. By Peter Gabriel. And Best Engineered Album Non-Classical went to I.O. by Peter Gabriel as well. That must have been a really well-engineered album. Shout out to him. And Best Arrangement, Instrumental or Acapella went to Jacob Collier, Tori Kelly, and John Legend for their track Bridge Over Troubled Water. And I'm so happy that they won. Great record. They killed it. I'm glad it won. Shout out to them. And Best Arrangement, Instrumental, and Vocals went to Sajay and Regina Carter for their track Alma. It didn't go to Willow's Big Feelings like I hoped it would, but shout out to Sajay, the great vocal group. I do wish I went to Willow though, because Big Feelings is such a good song, such a great arrangement, but it's fine. Shout out to Sajay. Yeah, so that was it. Those are all the winners that I wanted to talk about and all the categories that I was invested in this year. So my final little random thoughts on this year's Grammys. I really want to talk about the Associated Press and Babyface issue for a hot second. I think what Associated Press did to Babyface in that moment, it's gone viral. If you haven't seen it, go look it up. To me, that speaks to a larger issue of, especially with this generation, how I think we've lost touch with our actual legends. And I think, to me, there's not been a moment in recent history that has shown that as powerfully as what happened with the reporters who pretty much snubbed Babyface because Chaperone was coming along the red carpet. Chaperone is definitely one of today's newer and brightest stars. I'm not surprised Associated Press were like, oh, okay, hold on, we need to go get her. That's journalism 101. Be ready to talk to the highest person in the room to get that, to get those clicks, to get that viewership, to get those eyes and ears on our platform. I get it. But there's a way to go about things, and there's a way to do things respectfully and with integrity and with grace. And that went all out the window with the Associated Press during the Grammy red carpet when they were interviewing Babyface. Babyface is a whole legend. Babyface has written songs that have changed the world and that will continue to impact the world for generations to come. Chaperone, she's eating it up right now, but she's just getting started. At the end of the day, in 2024, 2025, Chaperone is definitely the bigger name, the bigger artist, the more famous person that's understood. But for the sake of God, like for God's sakes, y'all, Babyface is a whole legend. Associated Press, you guys are one of the biggest journalistic news platforms in the world. You guys would have been okay if you didn't catch Chaperone in that moment. You guys would have been okay. You're the Associated Press. But how terrible does it look on you guys now that when two ladies were speaking to Babyface, they clearly decided to say, oh, sorry, bro, shut up for a second. Chapel. You know how crazy that looks, bro? And it's not like y'all talking to a random person. That'll be fine. Y'all talking to one of the most iconic producers of all time. One of the most iconic music industry professionals of all time. Yes, he might not be in his hot period right now. He was a mainstay in the 90s. Okay. He might not be in the 80s and 90s. He might not be, the hot name right now, but that's still Babyface. He's a legend among legends. There's a time and a place. Koof, who raised y'all? But I think again, it speaks to this generation in particular being really out of touch with our legends. And that's something that I've always told my friends about and people I care about. It's a conversation that I bring up a lot because I really think, I think what bothers me most about my generation is how much we don't care about our legends. We only care about the hot new person, the hot new name, the hot new rapper, the hot new pop girl. We don't care about our legends from back in the day, from like the 80s, 90s, 2000s, like unless they're still active now. Like a Beyonce, like a like a Beyonce, like a Usher, like people like that are Taylor Swift, people who have been, Lady Gaga, people who have been famous for a long time and are still active now, we care. But for people who were one of the biggest people around their era and their heyday and are not as hot now, but really changed the world with what they did, because they're not as hot now, we forget about them and put them to the side. Especially our black legends, and that's a conversation that we need to have. Because no shade, black people, this is our conversation right now. These white legends, they are appreciated by the people. White folks they gonna keep their legends around. These old rock stars, these old country stars, they are beloved till this day, and they get loved they get respect and adoration till this day. But us black folk, all our black legends, like we just be like, they was hot back then, but who's a new rapper, who's a new R&B girl, Y'all, half of y'all don't care about Brandy, but her impact. If she come on the red carpet now, a lot of y'all will be like, oh, Brandy, all right, cool, whatever. Oh, the boys, okay, boys, mine, girl, all right, cool. SZA, Summer Walker, Coco Jones. But it's like, yo, that's Brandy, Like, that's just one example of a million I could use. You know what I'm saying? But we have to care about people who might not be as hot right now, but still made impact in music. We have to continue to care about these people. That's why when our legends get older, they start to go into depression, they start to go into drugs and alcohol, all this stuff, because they feel like they're not as loved and they feel like they're not as appreciated by the world that they gave so much to in their heyday. When their popularity wanes, we stop giving a fuck about them, and then that's when everything goes to hell with their lives and in the latter half of their lives. We could avoid that if we continue to give our legends their flowers and our love forever until they pass, not just when they pass or when they were hot. And that's what we always do. Irv Gotti, great example, rest in peace. Not the best example because he had a lot of mess surrounding him when in his lifetime. But at the end of the day, Irv Gotti was not the hottest name in 2025, 2024. But with what he did in this music industry, he changed the game. And a lot of people don't want to acknowledge that in the newer age because he's not making music now, but he changed the game. Like, we have to respect what our legends did in the past. We have to respect people who made impact even if they're not hot now. We need to stop, excuse my language, we need to stop sucking the dick of all the newest, hottest artists around. I get it, they're the new hot name. But at the same time, we need to have a level of respect and koof for people who actually made waves in this music business that led the way for a person like Chaperone to do what she's doing now. So Associated Press, shame on y'all for that moment. And shame on the girls who were and the producers who are behind the scenes who were involved in that shameful moment. It's a shame, but let it be a lesson for how we all needed to get it together with how we appreciate and are in communication with our legends. Let that be a lesson moving forward, because we all need to get it together, please, quickly. And lastly, Lady Gaga premiered her new song Abracadabra during her commercial spot with MasterCard. And that was definitely one of my favorite moments of the show as well. Seeing that in the music video, it was so fire. I love the song. It's a bop. The video was great, and I love seeing it premiere during the Grammys. That was amazing. Promotional tool as well. Shout out to Lady Gaga and her team for that. Amazing strategy for a really great song, great video. So I'm glad y'all did that. Pretty much what SZA did last year with with Saturn with the MasterCard spot. So I love that. So hopefully Abracadabra can also do big things this year. Maybe win a Grammy next year. We'll see. But yeah. So yeah, y'all, that was it. That was my long ass but hopefully enjoyable review of the 2025 Grammys. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know down below what were your thoughts on this year's show. What were your thoughts on this year's winners and losers and all that? Who had your favorite performance? Who had your least favorite performance? What was your favorite moments throughout the show? What were some of your favorite categories and winners and all that? What were some snubs that you hated? Just give me all your thoughts about this year's show down below. I appreciate it. And let me know what y'all thought about my review and all that. So I appreciate y'all. And if you haven't already, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And join my Patreon, okay? Appreciate y'all. But alright, y'all, this has been your boy Bright, the R&B Kid. Thank y'all for watching. But for now, I'm signing off, baby. Bye, y'all. Peace.
I came to vibe, you came to function, just do that, baby. Don't worry about nothing, no. I came to vibe, you came to function, just do that, baby. Don't worry about nothing, no. Relax just a little bit. You don't gotta worry, you can just